Hello,
I would.
everyone, and welcome to the weekly Sig Docs meeting. This is our monthly meeting at the time that is friendlier for APAC contributors. Today is the 28th of August, 2018. Brad, you sounded like you were in the middle of something. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that was my fault. I was just going to say it's 10 o'clock my time, so you may be getting entertainment with me screaming at my son to get off the Xbox and get to shower and get to bed. So, intermittently, that's what that is. Why did Destiny 2 come out with its update today? All right, thank you very much.
Well, welcome, everyone. So with this meeting time, usually I find that normally we have the agenda and we talk about things as we go along, but with this meeting time, my experience so far has been that there tend to be more questions at the end rather than filling in the agenda up front. So I would say let's go with the agenda that we have, but leave more room to add agenda items at the end. So let's see, do we have anyone who is here for their first time? Any first-time contributors?
I'd like to introduce our Korean team contributor, Joo-hee Kang. Joo-hee, please introduce yourself, please.
I think she's
sorry, Joo-hee, you're muted.
Or there's something wrong with her microphone.
That's okay. Why don't we come back to introductions in a minute? Joo-hee, please feel free to interrupt whenever you're ready. Let's see. So I wanted to follow up first with an update from the last monthly meeting at the APAC time. There was a question about whether or not the localization guidelines were up to date, and yes, they are. Luke Perkins very kindly submitted a PR 9192 to make the updates to the localization guide. So as far as I know, our localization guides our guidelines are current and up to date. Any follow-up questions there? Anything that's outstanding about localization guides that we need to cover? Okay, well, let's move on. Oh, also, I have to apologize. My camera is off. I go to a trapeze class immediately after this, and I am dressed for the trapeze, not so much for hosting meetings that will be recorded forever on YouTube. So that is why you see a blank screen before you. So Luke, I see that there's an agenda item. You have a proposal for a tooling and infrastructure working group. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, not necessarily a proposal at this point. I just kind of wanted to raise the idea with the group. I think it came up in the meeting last week, but because of the Write the Docs conference, we weren't quite at decision-making quorum, or so to speak. So yeah, I think that the basic idea that I'd like to throw out to the group is, you know, in a lot of our meetings, we spend a lot of time talking about documentation strategy, and we talk about content, we talk about writing, we talk about standards for you know, grammar and so on, and so, you know, wording and so on and so forth. And then we also spend a lot of time talking about tools and infrastructure and things of that sort. And so and I was wondering if you all thought it would be beneficial if the tools and infrastructure discussions and work could potentially be set aside to a subgroup of people, like, let's call it a tooling and infrastructure working group, so that when it comes to our weekly meetings, we can potentially keep those focus on on docs, on writing docs, as opposed to Netlify and weird Hugo glitches and things of that sort. So I just wanted to see if I would be happy to spearhead an effort like that. But I'm perfectly open to others stepping in as well, like Andrew, for example, who I know who's done a ton of great work in this area.
So thoughts there? I think it sounds like a great idea to me, but I'm curious about like Andrew, Brad. Do you have thoughts about a working group there?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea because we just usually have too many things going on. So it'd be great if there's like a work group that was focused on this, because there's definitely some things that need to be kept up and addressed. And I think it'd be good if it was just a small group of people that were interested in it that could work on it.
Yeah, and I'm thinking a little more concretely that maybe one person from that working group could provide a brief status update during the Sig Docs meeting every week, and then also act as a vessel. If people have tooling and infrastructure related concerns, that they could raise them in the meeting, and then we could all we could take those concerns and discuss them elsewhere.
That sounds awesome to me. It's also, I think that there's enough concerns. Like Andrew points out, there's our tooling chain has always has ongoing concerns, and like once a week may not be often enough to talk about them. I mean, frankly, the needs are sometimes more immediate, and like having a more direct channel for communication about tooling and infrastructure seems like it would be a good idea. So, so Raji, I see in chat that you would love to join the working group for tooling and infrastructure. What's the best way to publicize to get interest? Luke, would you be willing to like send an email out to the email list and maybe like post on Slack and put together, I don't know, like a Slack channel? That seems like it's going to be the best way to do that. But if you want to, do you mind like grabbing that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no big deal at all.
Awesome. Communicate and create a Slack channel if need be. Okay, let's move on and talk about internationalization repos. And let's start out by specifically talking about updates to the owners and owner sub-aliases files. I want to offer my thanks and my congratulations to both the Korean and Japanese localization teams for updating their owners files and their owners aliases, and bringing in new contributors and new members to the Kubernetes org in order to have functional approver and reviewer teams. That is wonderful news. It's awesome. So congratulations. I need to sync with the Chinese team to get more, to make sure that the Chinese team has more team ownership over their approval and review cycle. I'm seeing a lot of PRs crossing through, but it looks like their PR traffic is mostly getting manually merged at this point rather than using Prow. So it looks like I need to sync with them about following the Prow workflow and getting them up to date. Update their owners files. Okay. But Junyi, is there anything that that your team needs in terms of input or feedback from us about your workflow? I mean, having your owners and owners aliases files updated is a great step, but is there anything that you're encountering, any problems that you're running into, any challenges that we could help with? How are you doing?
Yeah, we didn't use Softtree as you recommended before because it is too complex for us. So we are currently working on the Dev 112 branch that we made, which is based on the website release 112 branch. I know the branch is not stable now, but I think it will be soon stable. So currently we are in discussion how to stay up with the upstream.
Awesome. I think you made the right choice about Subtree. Like Subtree is way too complex for us too. So I think that's the right choice to make there. I think so. Have you? Is the stability of 112 a challenge at all? Like, does that pose? Are you finding the instability of 112 right now to be too much of a challenge, or I mean, it sounds like things are going well. That's not the branch I would have recommended, but I'm intrigued to hear you talk about it, and I can see why that choice would make sense. So how, just really quickly, how has working on the 1.12 branch been? Have you found the instability challenging?
Currently, we have challenged that our Dev 112 branch is outdated. So we are currently finding a way to update and stay up with current release 112 branch.
Awesome.
We didn't found a way yet, but we are in discussion.
Okay. I would love to know whatever solution you find, because that will probably be of great value to other internationalization teams as well.
Okay.
Awesome.
Are you talking about issues with the rebasing against master?
Rebasing against 112 release 112 branch.
Okay.
That's what we will gonna do.
Yeah, I know that Zach's doing some form of automated rebasing for the 112 release branch. So maybe we could share that. I'm not sure exactly how he has it done, but I know it's automated.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, let's, Junyi, I'm going to, there's another Zach Arnold. I'm going to, actually, Jim, do you mind putting Zach and Junyi in touch with each other?
Yep, no problem. Junie, is your Slack the same as your name?
I'm sorry?
What is your Slack address?
june.yi.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take care of that.
Thank you.
Let's see. Yeah, Zach Arnold should be able to help with some of the issues with keeping with helping you stay up to date. All right. Let's see. Do we have? I'm seeing. Chi Ming, you are the only person I see from the from China, and I know that you have only sort of a little bit of involvement with the translation team. Do you know? Do you have any updates from that team, or do you have any concerns or questions for that team?
So far, no.
Okay.
So if you want me to involve with that team, I can do that.
That would be great. Yeah, just to, even if it's just as a point of contact.
Sure.
That would be really helpful. Thank you. Let's see. Are there any questions from the Japanese team that we can help with? Any questions or concerns that are outstanding?
Yes. I have a question.
Sure, go for it.
How can I set up Netlify for review up?
Oh, great. So setting up a Netlify branch to publish preview builds for the Japanese docs repo.
Yeah. Yes. Do you have some script for that? And one is website repo and Netlify configuration. No, Kubernetes the website. So, do you have code in somewhere?
So it's not a script, but there we do. Thank you for bringing this up, because we need to set it up so that when you submit PRs to your repo, it will show the previews, and then we can also set up a preview site like URL, so you can always go there and see what the preview for the whichever branch.
Yeah.
Luke, can you have access to all of our Netlify stuff, right?
I'm not sure, but I can check with you after the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, it's super easy to do. I can do that in just a couple minutes.
Okay.
Cool. So Takuya Noguchi, I think if if you can work with Andrew and Luke, I think they can help you get set up.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's see. Let's talk. This needs a lot more in-depth discussion that I think we can do in a single meeting. But I want to check in briefly about branching strategy and finding out if teams. Well, so it strikes me that we need to. We've been talking this whole time about automation and about automating updates from localization repos to K website. And that seems to me like we may be trying that maybe a few steps down the road, that maybe at first just going for like manual updates. So like the first big commits, just doing following a manual process and iterating from there to automation, because I'm not sure that automation right out of the gate is the way to go. It seems like imposing a pretty heavy like maintenance burden or knowledge burden on a translation team, and trying to fix a problem whose full scope we don't know yet. I am really curious to hear from both Junyi and Takuya Noguchi. How is your branching strategy going so far? Do you have any questions or concerns about how to what am I asking? How is your branching strategy going, and do you have any questions or concerns about it?
What do you mean? Is 1.10 branch. So do. Are you asking about the branching policy?
Yes.
What are you asking? Branching policy.
So my question
Sorry?
is,
Yes.
what is the name of your working branch for translations? Are you producing translated content in the master branch for your repo?
No, release 1.10. We already merged the.
Okay,
Make sense?
it's
Yes.
good to maybe that's better handled offline. I think let me look at the actual let me look at the repo and
Yes.
take
Yeah.
a look at that if PR is in progress so far and see and just look at the branching strategy.
Okay. Yes.
Junyi, I know that you had asked previously about branching strategy. Uh, how has that been working for you? Is that still an outstanding question for your team?
Currently, our working branch is Dev 112, as I mentioned before. We are in discussion how to set up our branch strategy. So we have a weekly meeting in our local community. So next week, we're gonna have a draft for the branching strategy. So we're gonna discuss about our own branching strategy.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to follow up with you after that meeting and hear about what you decide and what works for you.
Sure, I'm gonna share our discussion histories.
Oh, great, thank you. All right, for now, let's move on and let's talk about, Cody, is this your update or is this your agenda item for following up on the pick right solution?
It is not mine, but I can talk about it.
Interesting. Whose is it?
Brad, pick the right solution.
Yes. What's on your mind, Brad?
What's that?
Talk to us. What's on your mind?
Okay, so we have a page called Pick the Right Solution. When you go look at that page and you look at the left navigation panel, it's very misleading because the left navigation panel only shows a few of the vendors' offerings that have inline instructions, basically inline instructions for how to use their product. And so you have a huge list on Pick the Right Solution that essentially are not showing up on the left nav bar. So that was part one of the issue, and I think somebody's working on that, Clay or something. Mm-hmm. But the other issue that came up is that page, and this is the more important one, I think, is the right solution still meant to be the page that is kept up to date with the list of vendor offerings and distributions and what have you that are there, because a Pivotal person was trying to update the list because the Pivotal product was incorrect, and when the review was done, it was, oh, we shouldn't let this go in because we think there's a whole bunch of work being done. And my concern was, well, if there's a whole bunch of work being done, that's great, but where is the canonical list of up-to-date of what the products are, turnkey, hosted, cloud, what have you, because you need to have that list somewhere, even if you're redoing the navigation or what have you. And so, if you go look at the pull request 10028 from someone from Pivotal, my inclination would be to go ahead and hit merge to at least keep the Pick the Right Solution date. And then if there is more work going on to fix the navigation, that's great. But at least we have a canonical page that is up to date with what the vendors are offering. Because I could see vendors coming to us and getting very angry because that's where all the money comes from, right? These people have distributions, they have offerings, and, it's one thing for the documentation to need to be updated because, things change or what have you. But my guess is, the marketing crowd and the people that are trying to monetize Kubernetes would really, really like us to keep that page up to date, if that makes sense.
It does. So, Cody, I know that you can talk specifically about updates to pick the right solution. I'm going to dive in, though, and kind of give the intro and the context for the work that Cody is doing. So, and it's a timely discussion because the pick the right solution page right now, I mean, the entire, so that entire section, what is currently labeled getting started, is it's not just a bit of a mess, it is a giant mess. The entire section is not very well organized. Content there is woefully out of date. It's very stale. So I am willing to entertain, Brad. I think you've got a good idea in that we should have some sort of a resource page that lists distributions. So I'm getting sort of a push initiative from the CNCF to highlight Kubernetes certified service, or KCSP's Kubernetes certified platforms, and to prioritize those. But I do think that you're right in that there needs to be kind of an up-to-date list of providers and platforms available. My thought, though, is that should probably not be the landing page for setup or for getting started.
Sure.
And yes, the left nav does need to be updated. And this is, Cody, is this a good place to jump in and talk about sort of what you're looking at and the scope of what you're working on right now?
Yeah. So my project basically is breaking apart picking the right solutions and going into each section. Like, why would someone want a turnkey solution over an on-prem, and just kind of differentiating the types of solutions so that people will know like what they're looking for, so they don't have to scroll through an entire list and then kind of like guess and check by clicking the links. So I'm just working on categorizing that and showing the information. And from that one PR, I think that'd be fine to merge right now. Like, that really won't impact anything that I'm doing. But yeah,
Right.
as far as a canonical list, like I'm not sure that's. I was actually considering moving away from that. But if that's something you think we should keep,
only temporary, just as a placeholder, so that as you're doing your work, you're getting the updates as because there's multiple vendors that are trying to update the list.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so much easier for me to say, hey, it's okay, we're going to merge it in and understand that it's a big ugly list today, but we've got your most recent version of what changed with your pivotal product, for example. It's on the page, and understand that we're going to work off that page and reorganize it, but they can feel comfortable like they got their latest updates in for 112 or what have you, and then they can trust that we're going to do the right thing organizationally, however you want to restructure it. They felt like, because I've seen product name changes. Everybody, a lot of things are changing from so-and-so container offering to Kubernetes offering, which is fabulous for us. So I want to get those changes in. And so my thought process was, is it okay if we just merge those pages into that one big page, and then you have the up-to-date stuff so that however you want to reorganize is great. I'm sure you'll come up with something fabulous, but at least we don't get lost in that process, Pivotal and other folks trying to make updates that they find very important because it's, say, the name of their product changing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, those can be, I'm fine if those are merged.
Okay, cool. That was really the big issue. And me just saying, yeah, it sounds like you're on a really cool problem to go fix the nav and the issue, and we're all aware of it. So more power to you. That's awesome. It's a great problem to go fix. Thank you very much for taking it. Very cool.
I also want to point out that there was, I think it was a project that Chris Nagus was working on, right, to get the cloud providers to sort of like update their part of the documentation and stuff. And then we were talking last week at the Doc Cincinnati about using that as sort of an incentive to get some tech writing resources from some of the larger, CNCF members that are cloud providers.
I already found one, just so you know. So when you're ready, I've got a volunteer who will help us. So I've got one lined up, or at least, for that piece, yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know that we're waiting on anything specifically. We should go ahead and do that.
Last I heard is you and Zach were going to figure out a strategy or a sort of an approach, and I was sort of waiting to hear what the approach was going to be, and then I was going to put the person in. That's all.
Okay, yeah. I guess, Zach, you and I need to, sit down and talk about this.
Yeah, let's do. I mean, right now my strategy, Brad, is frankly to just go to my boss, Chris Anisic, and go, please. So we should probably have a more refined strategy than that. So yeah, Andrew, let's make some time this weekend and talk about like how we can make a more coordinated push across our spheres of influence. Okay, Andrew, is this yours about KubeCon at Shanghai?
Yeah. So since it's going to be in Shanghai, I'm guessing that several of you may be attending. So I just want to see if anyone was planning to attend. I believe it's November 10th through the 13th.
Yep.
Or something like that. Yeah. And then Brad, I know you're going, but are any of the other folks who are on now planning to go?
Luke and I will both be there.
Peking Duck.
Yep, I'll be there.
Qiming? Anyone? Qiming, are you planning to go to KubeCon in Shanghai?
No.
Okay. Okay, because if anyone was planning to go, then my follow-up question would have been, what would you like to work on for the doc sprint? Because our original idea was to help make sure that these translation workflows were working correctly. Because a lot of the issues that you brought up today, we could make sure we get them fixed. But if not, then I guess we will figure something else out.
Hey, Andrew, let me know how I can help brainstorm or how I can help you. I'm here just to help you in any way possible. So.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Brad.
Maybe we can take a look if until I think we need to talk more with the Chinese localization team and see and get more of their input about what they'd like to work on. But if nothing else, it may be good to have to talk about upstream contributions and just have that as an available thing in our back pocket, is just to be present for reviewers for upstream contributions.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So that is the end of our agenda. Do folks have any questions? Anything else that you'd like to discuss?
I just want to share something. The Korean localization team had a presentation at the local Kubernetes user group meetup last week. I introduced the Korean localization team, and I explained the community processes briefly within the scope that I understand. And at there, I called for the contributors, and I think it worked. That's it.
That's wonderful. Thank you for going and doing that. Thank you for being a representative of the community and for making the presentation, Junyi. Thank you very much. Any other updates or things to discuss? Five, four, three, two, All right, that's the weekly SIG meeting. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Have a good week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.